Extraction is the movie that's now on Netflix. It is produced by the Russos, starring Chris Hemsworth. He's a mercenary in it. A kid is kidnapped. Mercenaries got to rescue the kid. It takes place in India, and I don't know, man. If you took that Six Underground movie, the one that Michael Bay directed, Ryan Reynolds was in it, if you took that and more so gave it the tone of something like Proof of Life or Beirut or The Rhythm Section, you might have something like Extraction. I wasn't a huge fan of any of those movies I mentioned, really. This is a film like, remember that other Chris Hemsworth movie, 12 Strong, I think is what it was called. One of those movies where I haven't seen this movie, but I've seen this movie. It's one of those where you're watching it and you go, I've seen this movie 100 times. I'm predicting lines in it. I feel like I know everything that's gonna happen because it's just a movie just happening to you as you're watching it. There's nothing really in the way of anything that separates it apart from other things that have its plot. Your hero of the movie is the hero. That's just what he is. He has a past. He serves his function in the movie. He lives in isolation at the beginning of it. He drinks a lot. Something bad happened to him years ago. He does dive into the water much like a bullet, and does some meditation underwater. So he's not so much Thor. He might actually be Aquaman. Your villain of the movie, he's one of those villains that he does villainous things. He seems like he's kind of too cool for everything going on, really. Sort of one of those who's like, yes, show me your worth by giving me 2 fingers. David Harbour comes into it about an hour into the movie for a couple of scenes and briefly injects some kind of life into it. I don't know. Let me try being a little more positive here. The movie's directed by a professional stuntman, and the stunts are solid. They are impressive. The movie also, it doesn't skimp on the violence and the blood. It's got plenty of that. It's not afraid to be an action movie that goes for the R. It's the fight scenes are choreographed well. There's a car chase in it that's fine, but again, like a lot of what I've said, I feel like I've seen it before many times, even this year alone. The car chase in it is well done. It's also exactly like a very, very, very similar one that I saw in the rhythm section. And another thing too, and I know I'm a broken record in talking about this, when your movie opens up with action sequence, out of context action sequence, just random action sequence, something that will happen later in the movie, cut to black and 2 days earlier. Sure, has that been done well before? Yeah, like when it actually is part of the story, or that that's the editing style that they're going with, or they're parodying it, or they're having fun with it. If it needs to be there as a means to how they're editing and telling this story. But 9 times out of 10, that is not the case. That's certainly what is going on here. No writer wants it like that. No director wants it like that. That is, again, 9 times out of 10, that is a studio note from somebody who has zero faith in the story that they're telling. And that's another thing that I saw in the rhythm section this year. So, Extraction. This is one of those movies that it exists. It didn't pass the will it keep me from playing on my phone test. It didn't pass that at all. I was playing on my phone about halfway into this movie and really feel like I didn't miss much. This isn't going to make my worst list by any means. Not at all. It is just one of those movies I'm going to forget about it. It's devoid of a lot of personality, and because of that, it just feels like not sure why this exists. Never mind Extraction. I guess it should just be called Exists. So give us a follow here on YouTube. Follow us at youtube.com/Stone Gremlin Productions. Also follow us on Twitter at The Cinema Snob. This movie is on Netflix. Watch Man on Fire instead. See ya.